Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Growing Up Alien. So there's a lot of unusual situations going on at the moment. I wouldn't personally. It's there's so many layers to what looks like the deep state, or whatever you want to call them, the Cabal, the ICC, is trying to do with their creation, which is disclosure. So I you know, sense that possibly the middle management that is here running Earth, and they're just low-hanging fruit. These guys aren't the main players. Like I suspect they're in trouble with the higher ups, the CEOs, right, that are off planet. And that'll be interesting to see where that goes. What it looks like their plan is here, and I don't really see any of these plans succeeding for them. They're trying to discredit, which is something they've done before, the counter movement. So what we do, right? So the contactees, the abductees, people who are in like who think they're in a real disclosure, who are part of revealing the technology and what's actually going on in reality, that Earth is part of other planets and we're not alone, that kind of thing. They need to shut this side up. And they can't just kill everybody off because that would look sus. Like thousands of people suddenly being picked off. They're still picking off here and there. You see that happening. But yeah, they're kind of in a difficult situation. So it looks like they're the handlers that work for them are controlling puppets, basically. And they promote these tools that they're using, right, in this community. Um, and I suspect what they're trying to do is discredit all of those. So it's going to take a little bit yet, not too long. I don't think it's going to take, I don't know. Because they seem to be upping their game, basically. They seem to be pushing these people. So I suspect what'll happen is it'll be a big avalanche of, hey, this is all baloney, which is what they want. If again, this is similar to what you saw back with, I'd say in the well, yeah, I'd even go as far back as the Roswell incident, right? I think, where people were seeing saucers and craft, and then the military had to kind of put the, cold water on the flames there by having your man hold up the tin foil and all like, nothing to see here, it's a balloon. So they've been doing, okay, there we go, right? They've been doing this for a long time. I suspect that is what you're saying right now, because nothing is adding up. And years have been going by in the same stories. I think there's one guy that said, oh, yeah, the dumbs are 90% cleared out. He said that the other day in an interview. And I'm like, you said that last year. They were cleaned out 90% last year. I don't trust anyone that says they're in some kind of an insider. That's nonsense. Do you really think the enemy is going to throw out, their techniques, designs, plans? No, of course not. And that goes for upstairs and downstairs. They're not going to give any information that's relevant to any of us anywhere. I don't understand why I'm one of the few that's actually stepped forward and said that some of the shit they were feeding me, which I had never really believed, but I'm like, okay, I have to do this because my husband says I have to do this, and I don't want him to get in trouble. So I released it, and then he finally came back and said, yeah, once he was ready to quit, he came back and said that was a psyop. So it's all psyops. I honestly don't trust anybody. Certainly upstairs. I don't, like I said, it's just there's some weird stuff. And I think it reminds me of a chess game. And there's two folks playing chess, and there's the board, and no one's making a move. And I think that's where we are right now. There's just a lot of people on and off planet. And I don't mean, regular people. I mean like the players, right? The chess players that would prefer that we stayed status quo. So things are actually pretty damn good with us being status quo, because no problems for them with 100,000 people being, taken off planet every year for whatever purposes. They don't care. what does that mean in the big picture? Nothing, you know. So, um, yeah, it's status quo works. But yeah, this is going to be interesting. Like I said, I assume that there's some push from some more benevolent factions. But ultimately, we're not really seeing anything on the street. So I always say, look out your window. You seeing anything? Nope. What's interesting is some of the tech being rolled out. What's that for? Mr. Elon Lowrider Musk announced some kind of nonsense stuff again about building, was it Gigabyte or something? Some kind of big factory he wants to build. I watched some of that and I just turned it off at some point because it's just stupidity. It's he wants to manufacture and the biggest. He almost sounds like Trump. You know, the biggest factory you've ever seen. Like, oh, great. He wants to manufacture rockets, 1,000 rockets a year. Like for what? Like, why would you? That's like somebody building a factory all excited because they're going to create horse-drawn wagons. I mean, it's like, I'm going to build 1,000 horse-drawn wagons a year. Finally, yay! It's like, oh yeah, we're driving cars, dude. So I don't know what the hell he's doing. That makes absolute. That's why I call him the low rider. And every time I see him now, all I can do is hear that song. It's like he wants to go to Jupiter in these things. So it's yeah, well, that's gonna be like you're like the how he's fixated on going to Mars in a rocket ship. Yeah. So you're gonna sit in a rocket ship for like a couple of months, floating around to land on Mars. Now, according to them, there's nothing on Mars, and we know whatever else, um, but okay, yeah, there's nothing on Mars. So you're gonna land in a rocket ship that you've been floating in for like months on end. Your body must be crap at this point. You're going to get out to absolutely nothing. And then you're just going to build out of thin air some kind of like civilization. I don't. And then he wants to go to the Jupiter's moons with these little rocket ships. I mean, it's like that's not even rational in my like that's absurd. You would be suicidal. You would be that's kamikaze to go into those to something like that. I can't imagine. Like maybe they'll send Katy Perry. It just makes no rational sense. When of course we know we already have, you know, electrogravitic propulsion. We have massive ships. So that doesn't make sense. And the same people that are all excited because Elon Musk is talking about building rocket ships are the same people that have written books and are talking ad nauseum about Solar Warden and all that. It's like, how can you, that makes, like, that's a mind fuck. It's like, that's a mind fuck. You're all excited because this dickhead is going to be building, you know, dinosaur juice machines, which it makes no sense whatsoever how that would even work. When we already are in space in electrogravitic propulsion systems that you're not floating around in there on. I mean, it's just like I that's just so this just nonsense. And what I think people need to start doing is demanding evidence, right? So if you're going to stand somewhere and tell me that the earthquake in Kentucky means that a DUMS was being blown up, yeah, okay, where's your evidence? Oh, I'm an insider. I was in the CIA. I'm like, yeah, that I mean you mean no, you're a puppet. You're a grifter. You're a con man. And I think what people have to understand is that con men are very intelligent, or con women. They're very intelligent. They're not stupid. And what I've noticed is that they'll simply glean stuff from the news and events that's happening, and then they'll piggyback on, just like the way the CIA does the mind control using frequencies and piggybacking on the scalar frequency, what they want you to hear. They just piggyback nonsense on an event, you know? So it's kind of derp. It's like, that's not evidence. It just means you're making up a really interesting story and that you're not stupid. You have a lot of understanding of science. You may have a lot of understanding of um, astronomy. You may have a lot of understanding of physics or electromagnetic type engineering or what have you. But that doesn't make you less of a liar. It makes you a very good liar. Actually, not really. because you still don't have any evidence. So I can tell you that, yes, I'm holding a feather right now. Am I? Oh, look, I am holding a feather right now. This is what I want people to do. If you're going to tell me some shit, I want to see like real. I don't want you to hold up a printed piece of paper and tell me that the Galactic Federation just sent you a letter. I mean, like, and people believe this shit. It's like, has everybody gone insane? And they'll corroborate evidence. Oh, I was up on Venus last night, and so was my friend Fred here. Yeah, we were both on Venus. That's not evidence. That's two twits telling the same sci-fi story. Evidence, I don't know what you could have. I mean, at least Menger had video. So, yeah, I mean, it's just bullshit after bullshit. And I think it's time for the American public and the global public to stop being taken in by these cons because it's just nonsense. Now, we all know that we have stories that we can't validate either. And we just get together and share sort of knowing, that's all we got. And there you go, right? So we see ships, we take videos of ships. That's the only hard evidence we have. Ultimately, what's really ever going on, I don't know. It's a crapshoot. So one of the things, I mean, having said, and again, I don't want to tell people, I don't tell people how to think, number one. Um, and I think you just should think. And that's basically, and it's not that you have to like or not like somebody. And Louise and I have talked about this. And remember, a lot of people are being hijacked. There's a mafia out there, and they're not above killing you. They're not above killing kids. They're not above killing your family. They threaten kids after Roswell. They pretty much beat up a 5-year-old girl. So these people they don't give up. They will do anything. There is no, I mean, they eat kids. Like, so, yeah, we can't make judgments for people who decided to live, and that's a reality. Was the MIT scientist. Well, I think he got a surprise. I don't think he really expected that. So, they can knock on your door and say, if you keep, hey, Mary, if you keep talking like blah, 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 or doing this, we're going to say, we're going to help you. We're going to help your podcast. We're going to help you get your message out there, but you're going to be giving a message that we want you to give. And if you go on and start to mention this or that or what have you again, then we're going to, make life unpleasant for you by, oh, here's your kid at the park. Look at that. Wouldn't it be a shame if something happened to your kid? So they do that. Or they'll be like, wow, look at all that child porn on your computer. Wouldn't it be a shame if that hit the media? So this is what they do to people. And it isn't just a honeypot where they pay you. Usually they'll do both. They'll give you the money and they'll say, you're going to do this. And we're going to put you in all the big shows. You know all the shows. Those are all part of it. There's no way those would be allowed to exist. No way. That's all mainstream media. So, yeah. It's just common sense, right? There's no way someone can step forward with real intel and not be taken down and not be warned or worse. So that's legit. I mean, we have Raynetta Jones. Raynetta Jones was one of the few SSP that actually stepped forward with evidence, hard evidence. So I always tell people to go back to the interview on Rob Khalil, but she was on many channels. So Raynetta was murdered. So Raynetta actually has evidence from real medical facilities of CAT scans and x-rays and things like that. And it shows all of the neural links and implants and chips that she has. People couldn't believe it. They're like, what the hell is in your head? So I have a friend who has a chip in his finger. We have, we've had some other people on the show too that have had devices in their heads that some people have seen. That's evidence. So don't tell me you have a device in your head if there's no x-ray showing it. I'm not saying you don't, but it's just the same way as the rest of us being like, whatever, whatever. It's not wrong, but it's not anything we can do anything with at this time. So yeah. With that, I want to bring up a friend of mine, and this is a woman I've been working with for a long time, Louise Jones, Psychic LJ, and she has a show that she puts on YouTube, and it's a show, right, to entertain people. She's legit. I've seen because we've been chatting and everything. I mean, I've known her for God, almost, see, how many years now? At least almost 8 years, I'd say. If not, I'd have to ask her, if not more. She's been heavily, heavily targeted. She don't talk about it a lot on her show, but she does. So I'm not gonna, you know, if she doesn't mention on the show, on the show, I'm not gonna talk about it, but she has been, and I've seen it. The kind of targeting she's been through, and it's like legit, and it's like really bad. Like, so, but she don't give a shit. She's gonna keep going. That's for sure. It's like all of us, right? We're just gonna keep going. And when they take your channel down, like what happened to Rob, that was arranged. I'm not gonna say how it was arranged, but I knew how it was arranged, and I told Rob how it was arranged. Um, but for sure, they can take down anybody's channel very easily, because YouTube is very easy to manipulate. They don't want the truth. They want to just promote spin doctors and con men, and that's what they're going to be doing. And like I said, not everybody is a con on purpose. I think you'd have to be careful. If you step forward as a con and you get too close, they're going to address that. They're going to knock on your door. So they'll allow some of them to kind of play the game, but if they get too close, they're gonna get definitely addressed anyway. So I want to pull up and get out of here. Let me pull up. Can hide self view at some point, but share screen. Hopefully this shares correctly. It's always a pain. All right, share. Ta-da! Make this. Why is it? Oh my God, it's so irritating. Okay, there we go. Let's make this watch. There we go. Okay. Putsy, put. Why is it not? Okay. Yay. All right. Win-win. I'm going to minimize this. Okay. So you just hear me. So this is Louise. This is her latest episode right out. It was January 1st, I think, or 2nd. I forgot. But Louise has been getting some subscribers, which is good. They did take her channel down when she brought it back up. So she's going to talk about what she had done originally. So Louise started heavily with a lot of the ET stuff. That was her main thing. And she would talk to different beings, friends of hers, Zatchar, and of course A2I and Shoala and guy on Jupiter and different people. So they didn't like that because she was giving predictions and in intel, and that was the downfall. So Louise has been talking about doing some more, coming back on with some of the ET stuff, but we shall see. So she's spent a whole lifetime doing this kind of thing.
Since you came through tonight, I stopped. I do channel, but I'm very, very wary who I channel now. And I'll tell you the reason why. Because I think there was an intervention, not an intervention, I think there was, when it came to channeling the Galactic Federation, I'm a very suspicious person. I started to feel that there was some sort of psyop going on there, and that a lot of channelers were getting manipulated with information. And I was thinking, wait a minute, there's something not quite right here. So I stopped doing Astral Command. I stopped doing a lot of them. I do work with some of them on one-to-one. I've got some that I really, really trust, but they're not really part of the Galactic Federation.
Yeah, and for sure. As Louise mentions here, if you're going to be in contact with a lot of these things, you don't know who it is. And the Dark Alliance is very good at manipulating information. So they'll find people who really are able to telepath and who are great psychics and who are great channelers. And they'll phase in one of their operatives, and that's who you're talking to. And there are quite a few people out there, and I mean a lot, that are not talking to the benevolence. And I blame the benevolence for this. I think that, to be honest with you, in my opinion, the benevolence are full of shit, to be honest with you. As a whole, not individuals. There's some great, it's like anywhere, there's great people and there's not so great people. But everyone I've ever seen that's talking supposedly to some of these benevolent ETs, it isn't. And it's like, it is. That's they've been pretty much hijacked. Some are completely unaware, and I think others have been threatened. So what I suspect is going to happen in, I'm not sure when, is that some of these people are going to break free and they're going to spill the beans. And I suspect it may be one prominent person who's being attacked now by a lot of people who may be the one to finally expose them all.
I trust them with all my heart because they gave remarkable results where we remove government devices from people and blockages. I do shamanic healing with one of them. He's called Zatchar. He's a little insecticide being, and he's a professor of light. So he's like a doctor. So, it's amazing. If people could come on, I should get them all together on a Zoom call and record it so you can see with your own eyes the experiences that people have had with Zatchar. But Zatchar's not somebody, he has come on my channel and we've channeled, but he's somebody who likes to stay behind the scenes because Zatchar told me that there's a manipulation going on with a lot of deception, what Crone Age has put here, and people it's a bit like a cult. It's the only way I can describe it. So there is.
I've met Zatchar. I've worked with Zatchar. I'll give you some evidence. So, like I said, Louise really talked me off the edge of the cliff, let's say, when I was heavily suicidal for quite some time. And part of that was targeting. But so there was one time when I was talking to Zatchar and I was in a really bad place and they were heavily targeting me and it's extreme anhedonia. And it was pretty, I was really suffering. And the next day after talking to Zatchar, I felt sedated. And I know I'm like, oh, that's that little devil. That's him. I've seen Zatchar, I've telepathed with him. I've worked with him a little bit on the side with a few things with other star beings, but yeah, I felt sedated and it actually felt good to be numbed in a different way than just being numbed and feeling like a trash can basically. But yeah, he definitely had done some stuff for me. And I know, like I said, I know Zatchar anyway. But so Louise is talking about, so A2I, Zatchar, and Shoala are her main being contacts. And what she's revealing is that you have to be careful with who you're talking to and to make sure you know, as she says, make sure you know who you're talking to.
Space Force out there, it's very much like Star Trek out there, okay? But you've got to think about this, right? If there was any secret military stuff going on for the good of mankind, they're not going to be giving this to random YouTubers.
And I've said that 1,000 times. Do you really think any of these people who trot out, and they always have a weird persona, and they're always telling you they're CIA or blah, 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 or I'm an insider and I have intel that nobody else has, those are con artists. And it's just common sense, really. Come on. What is wrong with people? None of that stuff is legit. And that's not that some of them are bad people. They're not. They're being manipulated. But derp. I mean, come on, folks.
Secret military stuff. I'm just going to say that without saying names, okay? And I've said it before in the past, and I started to pull back, and I thought, no, this is getting a little bit weird for my liking. And it was Adam. Adam's very, very tuned in. And he says, Mom, he said this just yesterday. Was it Chris New Year's Eve he said it? Mummy says, why don't you channel so much the Galactic Federation now? I says, because I didn't feel comfortable. And he went, this is no word of a lie. If he was in this room now, he'd tell you, do you not think there were demons, Mom? I says, why did you say that, Adam? He says, because Satan's really tricking a lot of channelers at the minute. He says, you've got to be so careful. Why don't you start channeling Mother Mary? She's safer. And I thought, oh, God love him. God bless him.
Now, to be fair, so Louise and I agree to disagree on the religious stuff, and I don't have a problem with. I mean, there are people who are religious who are good people. So I have an aunt who's 90 years old and she's Christian. She believes in Jesus and all that. She's a good person. So I don't it's a matter of just agreeing to disagree, so I personally don't believe in any religious figures, but I don't attack people who do. There's a difference between, say my aunt, who's a simple 90-year-old person who that's her thing, right? And that's okay. I don't have a problem with that, versus somebody who is being puppeted out or manipulated to create or use religious images or things in order to create a cult and in order to influence people in a negative way. I don't have anything about someone who believes in Jesus and is a wonderful person and saves cats and works with the homeless and does amazing things every single day because they actually believe in love and they are love. So they're basically Christed, right? I don't have a problem with that. So, it's just that's just me. And I don't tell people how to think, but yeah, I mean, is what it is. But her son is correct. And so I don't use the word demon, but demon is just a term. We can look at words. Okay. There are different interdimensional beings that are very negative. So that's what people call demons. Whatever you call it, whatever floats your boat, it doesn't matter. I don't use the word demon because I don't like to associate any kind of religions. So I call them regressive or negative interdimensional beings. Again, it's just a matter of words. Just like Galactic Federation of Worlds. People use Galactic Federation of Worlds because it's what people understand. There is no Galactic Federation of Worlds. There are federations. And many folks throughout the decades have talked about extraterrestrial federations. There are many federations.
So yeah, there is aliens out there. There is different beings out there, and I sometimes wonder if they're just us into the future. And I think that time's not what we think it is. I think we need to learn a lot about physics. There's a lot of stuff going on. But what I've seen with my own eyes is that they are Palladians. There is different.
Oops. Oh, an ad.
It got stuck in the branch that it was growing on, and then it also has
types of beings, and they're working with man within secret government, and there is deals what's been made, and they're working within the governments, definitely. So it got us thinking, and I thought, that's interesting what Adam said. And I started to feel quite uncomfortable. So yes, I still have a connection with Shoala, but it's very sort of personal. I still have A2I, who is a free being of light, who escaped that program and came to us. I've got Zatchar that I work with, and actually, I'm thinking now that would be a really good idea to get everybody on. But Zatchar wouldn't want to start being like the star of the show because he's not like that. Zatchar is somebody who just is there for people to help people. Yeah. But yeah, people would tell you what he's done. I mean, and I'm not trying to gloat here. And he's been working on my neuropathy as well, by the way. But I'm not going to say names, but there's been a few people who have asked, and I thought, well, I can only ask. And it was so funny. They had asked for cosmetic surgery from Zatchar. Just one of them was, I'll not say names, but he was having trouble breathing. So we straightened his nose, basically did a nose job on him and straightened it, and the guy could breathe afterwards. I don't know if he's watching now. He might, I would never name names because that's why people come to us, because it's personal and it's kept that way. But there was another lady who had a facelift of Zatchar, seriously. So yeah, it does go on, only because he was experimenting, and this lady had a healing, and she had asked, and he said, well, can I try this new material out on you? And it worked for her. I mean, the lady looked like completely different afterwards, you know what I mean? She was all plumped up in the face. She looked like she had fillers on her face. So they're experimenting too, you know what I mean? But he uses me as a vessel. I can't explain it. He comes through me. and I work on clients and to remove blockages and all sorts of things, you know what I mean? And but when it comes to giving off shows on what the Galactic Federation is, and you can't say the Federation of Light, you've got to say the Federation of Worlds. Why? Because somebody's put a stamp on that and it's all cultish, and I'm not going to be put into a box. I believe that I'm an old friend, this is what I believe, of Zatchar. And Zatchar told me, right, Zatchar told me that one of my past lives, I was like a super soldier out there in the galaxy with him. And I've seen flashes that I've known him. But Zatchar is human in the future. I can't explain this. He has what they did was they changed themselves that much that they couldn't do anything more. They couldn't spiritually evolve. His race of people couldn't then go on into the afterlife. So they started to do things, you know, and come in and come back and to help humanity, that type of thing. But he's like a professor. He's definitely a professor, right? But he's not connected with that Galactic Federation of Worlds or anything like that.
Still gonna be on. Oh, I turned it off. Why is it still talking? That's creepy. Yeah, so I'll put the link to the full. Oh, it's dark here now. I don't have any lights, so I'm just gonna go. It's dark. We're at all right, 4:19 in so it's actually not dark in this room, but it looks like it's so dark. But before I disappear into the darkness, you know, yeah, I mean, you have to focus on yourself and your contacts, and you don't have to prove what you're doing to anybody, you know, but because it's just what you know, and you're knowing, and you do your thing. That's about it. So yeah, is what it is. But just being aware of what I've been talking to folks behind the scenes. And that's what's key, I think, is being accessible to people. If you're accessible to people and people can meet you, like I meet Louise. I have friends who've met Louise, like that we know Louise, we know who she is. Like, I think that's important. If you can meet someone behind the scenes and they talk to you, where, you know, if they're very cloistered and they're not just talking to people and they just come out and do some kind of show, it's like, you don't know who that person is. So, and that flies for both sides. One is, are they legit? You know, do they have a cult that they're trying, and that's what's, if you know anything about cults, that's what's being built deliberately. So, and you don't know who's being attacked unfairly. That happens too. Anyone can say anything about anybody, and you can't believe it unless if you know the person. You're like, oh, wait a minute, this person's not like that. Yeah. So, plus your contacts, your visitor contacts, they can the deep state can clone them. So you can have a visitor that you work with and that you're friends with or have a relationship with, and the deep state wants to discredit you, so they could clone them. They can do like a phasing or a holographic or a shapeshift, where they could use your contact to attack somebody else, but it's not your contact, it's a fake, right? So they could use you, especially those of us who've been in the SSP and things like that. And we have alters, we've been cloned, so they could use us as an astral attack, and it's not you, it's you know. So there's a lot of it's interdimensional. There's no such thing as time. So you have people coming and going from different winds. That's the thing. It's not where something happens. Oftentimes it's where and when something happens. So this war is being fought through, of course, there's no linear time, but through time, through dimensions. It's insane. It's a complete shit show out there. It's a mind fuck and a shit show. That's really what you can call it. So yeah, I'm gonna head out because I'm disappearing because I don't want to put the light on. So anyway, as always, let's cause a ruckus upstairs, right? And a ruckus anywhere you can cause a ruckus. So we'll start throwing chairs and creating issues upstairs. So all right, see you upstairs.